Hi everyone, welcome to the Highlights from Ukraine podcast, your daily audio summary of the latest news reported in the Ukrainian media. We would really appreciate if you could rate us in the apps where you're listening to this podcast, ideally with 5 stars, and leave a glowing review. This way more people would learn about the podcast and truth about Russia's invasion. My name is Artem, and here is the news. For 381 days, Ukraine defends itself against the forces of the Russian invasion. 3 civilians killed, 3 wounded in the result of the Russian shelling of the city of Kherson, reports Ukrinform. According to the local authorities, shells hit a car and local public transport enterprise where 5 buses were damaged. President of Ukraine Volodymyr Zelensky informed that 3 victims were just on their way to a store to buy groceries. He stressed that every day many Ukrainian cities and communities are facing brutal terrorist attacks by Russia. For example, just since the beginning of this year, in less than 2.5 months, over 40 enemy missiles have already struck the city of Kharkiv. According to the UK Defense Intelligence Review, the Russian forces, consisting of mercenaries from the Wagner private military company, have taken control of most of the eastern part of the city of Bakhmut in Donetsk Oblast over the past 4 days, reports European Pravda. The front line now runs through the city center along the Bakhmutka river. The UK intelligence notes that the Ukrainian armed forces hold the western part of Bakhmut and have destroyed key bridges over the Bakhmutka river, which runs through north-south through a strip of open ground 200 to 800 meters wide between build-up areas. With Ukrainian units able to fire from fortified buildings to the west, this area has become a killing zone, likely making it highly challenging for Wagner forces attempting to continue their frontal assault westwards, the intelligence points out. At the same time, Ukrainian forces and their supply lines west of Bakhmut remain vulnerable to constant attempts by Russian forces to outflank the defenders from the north and south. President of Ukraine Volodymyr Zelensky has enacted a decision of the National Security and Defense Council on the introduction of sanctions against 120 individuals and 287 legal entities, reports Interfax Ukraine. In particular, sanctions were imposed against several Russian betting companies and lotteries, as well as 3 Ukrainian, including one of the largest, Bakhmut. The president of Ukraine said that these are companies and people who, through gambling business schemes, worked against Ukraine, withdrew funds from Ukraine, and financed various Russian schemes. Bakhmut denies that there are any reasons for sanctions. They claim that sanctions are part of a campaign against the company aimed to put pressure on it. They blame the Security Service of Ukraine for this. The company stresses that it is owned by Ukrainians and ceased operations in Russia after the start of the full-scale war. Over 28,000 volunteers submitted applications to the Offensive Guard, and today almost all units have been formed, reports Radio Liberty. According to the Minister of Internal Affairs, Igor Klimenko, not every applicant gets into these units as there is a tough selection process. He said that almost all units have already started their training on the training grounds in Ukraine, and not all of the candidates can withstand the trials there. The training will continue as long as necessary to produce combat-ready units. The minister added that they are recruiting additional volunteers to have a reserve for the future. Pope Francis has said that he would like to visit Ukraine but will only do so if he can visit Moscow afterwards, reports European Pravda. In an interview with Argentinian newspaper La Nación, he acknowledged that he cannot visit Moscow at the moment, but expressed hope that it will be possible in the future. The Pope also said that he invited Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky to a papal audience in the Vatican. Representatives of the Ukrainian boxer Alexander Usyk and the British Tyson Fury agreed their fight for April 29th at Wembley Stadium, London, reports Ukrainska Pravda. Usyk is a heavyweight champion in WBA, WBO and IBF categories, while Fury holds WBC title. In a video, Usyk said that he was ready to distribute the fee according to 70 to 30% scheme in favor of Fury. At the same time, the Ukrainian put forward one condition, that Fury promises to donate £1 million to Ukraine immediately after the fight, and for every day of delay, Fury will pay 1% from his wallet to Ukrainians. If you like what we do and would like to tip us, you can now do so directly to our PayPal. Check out the link in the description to this episode for more details. And as usual, you can subscribe to our Patreon. We call on you to demand from governments of your countries to impose the toughest sanctions possible on Russia and its citizens to stop their invasion of Ukraine.